And good morning, and welcome once again to another edition of Your Voice. I am your host, Cliff Turner. Thank you very much for tuning into Your Voice this morning. Today we have a guest, well, actually two guests, joining us in the studio. We have Michael Howe, the Communications Director from OTECC in the studio, and then also we have one of these students who participated in the Youth Scholarship Tour last year, and we have Stephen Crader in the studio this morning with us. And good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you doing, Cliff?
I'm doing just fine, and good morning, Stephen. How are you?
Good morning, I'm doing good.
All right. Now, OTECC has the youth scholarship tours that they provide each year. And
Exactly.
The deadline has already passed for this time around.
Yeah, the deadline's already passed for this time around. In fact, it just closed a couple weeks ago, the 1st of February, I think. So we're in the process of making the selections for the next one. But I thought that today would be a great time to talk about the experience of the youth tour with Stephen Crader here, who actually just returned from New Orleans yesterday at one of the youth tour meetings, but that was only one of 3 big trips he took, so I thought it'd be great to have him explain that a little bit.
Now, Stephen, when you first heard of these youth tours that are being provided by OTECC, what made you decide to apply for it?
The biggest thing that I was looking at was I had always wanted to travel to Washington, D.C., and so that got my attention, and then to find out that it was a free trip really helped.
Even better, huh? And
Yeah.
sweetening that deal. Now, what did it take to apply for the trip?
OTECC requires you to fill out an application and write a 1-page essay explaining what you'll learn, how the trip will affect you, and just submit that by their deadline.
Very nice. Now, how long was the trip? How long were you out of state?
The first trip to D.C. that I went to in June was a week long, and then the second trip was 5 days.
Oh, very nice. So quite a lot of time then over in the D.C. area,
Yeah.
and seeing some of the historic monuments and also learning a thing or two.
Yes, it was. I really enjoyed just traveling there and seeing a lot of the monuments, and then we did some fun activities while we were there and learned about the cooperative.
So it was quite an experience then for not only just having fun, but also an informational trip as well.
And they also take the opportunity to go meet with our congressional delegation, so he met with Congressman Walden while he was out there. They learn about how D.C. works, in particular, specific leadership skills, and then, if you're fortunate enough to represent your state like Stephen did at the National Youth Leadership Council, you really get to shape the future of future leadership councils and kind of make an impact on rural electric cooperatives overall, which is why he went to D.C. a second time and then to New Orleans again just last week.
Now, before we get into your New Orleans trip, how many other students were with you on the trip to D.C.?
I can't quite remember how many went on from the trip. I know that there were 7 from Oregon, and that we met about another 10 states in Salt Lake City before we flew to D.C. And so I think there's 3 big buses, so I'm guessing around 150 students that I traveled with. But in total, there was probably a little over, I don't know, well, maybe closer to 800.
Oh, wow. So quite a few students then all across the country that gather for this event, this week-long event.
Yeah.
All right. And, of course, you had a lot of fun?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I can imagine so. And, the learning experience is really great. But, when it comes down to it, a free trip to D.C. sounds great just, in and of itself.
Yeah, I just enjoyed seeing everything, meeting the new people from across the country, and just gaining new friendships.
There you go. Well, it sounds great, and it's good that you have this experience to network with other students from around the country, not just from Oregon, but all around our country, and just share this learning experience with them as well.
And network he does. I tell you, OTECC just recently set up a Facebook page, and Stephen has a Facebook page as well, and became a fan of the OTECC Facebook page. So you kind of watch Stephen post stuff on the OTECC Facebook page, but you can also, if he's a friend of yours on Facebook, you go to his page, and just numerous youth tour friends that they communicate back and forth. And we were in the airport, and he was texting his youth tour buddies, telling where he was, all sorts of stuff. Good times, good camaraderie.
And you have a lot of pictures and or videos from your trip, and just a lot of things to remember.
Yeah, I do. I took a lot of pictures on all 3 of the trips of the group together, the monuments, me in front of the monuments, and just us having a fun time.
There you go. There you go. Now, what year in high school are you in now, Stephen?
I'm a senior.
Senior. And these two trips that you took to DC, were they back-to-back years?
Yeah,
that you applied for?
It was actually all this summer. I went to DC in June, and then I went back to DC in July this summer.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. And then also your trip to New Orleans. What was that like? When going to New Orleans? Because DC and New Orleans can be quite different in a number of ways. What was that trip like?
They were quite different.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mardi Gras time there, you know.
Yeah, it is Mardi Gras time there. The second trip the trip to New Orleans was different in that I already knew everybody that I was going with.
Mm-hmm.
We'd already spent 5 days together as a group of Youth Leadership Council members. And there, we didn't travel around as much. We were more there to be on hand to help with the conference activities and to just meet the cooperative members and directors and just show the national organization what the Youth Leadership Council does.
There you go. Now, was there any presenting that had to be done on your part or on the students' part when taking these trips?
To go to DC, and once you're chosen as your state representative,
Mm-hmm.
they require that you do a speech talking about different things. Like this year, they want us to talk about the Our Energy, Our Future campaign,
Mm-hmm.
and they have everybody give their speech in front of the group, and then they choose a national spokesperson, and that national spokesperson talks and gives their speech in front of all 7,000 people in New Orleans, or wherever the annual meeting's held.
Wow. So then it's really something to be chosen and to give that speech in front of all these people then.
Yeah, she really enjoyed it, and the girl that was selected was from Georgia, and she really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed just giving the speech and just the fun that she had.
And there you go. Well, we were joined this morning by Michael Howell from OTECC, Communications Director, and also Stephen Crader from Union High School, who was talking about some of the past youth tour trips that he took through the OTECC Youth Trip Scholarship, I guess you could call it. And you know, I want to ask you more questions about some of these other trips, Stephen, and also why you would encourage other students to apply for these in the future. But right now, we need to take a commercial break.